6 months after divorce, she entered a clinic, unaware her ex-Korean Mafia husband would see her. "Is he mine?" Minho's deep voice shattered the silence of the clinic waiting room. It wasn't a question. It was a demand wrapped in velvet and steel. His hand reached out, trembling just slightly, toward Amara's round, pregnant belly before she jerked away as if she had been burned. Amara's back hit the cold wall. She couldn't breathe. Standing in front of her was her ex-husband, the heir to the most dangerous crime syndicate in Seoul. The man who divorced her exactly 6 months ago because his family looked at her brown skin and called her a mistake. He looked like he had been shot in the chest. His dark eyes, usually so cold and unreadable, were wide with a mixture of horror and hunger. He stared at her stomach, then at her face, and then back at her stomach. 7 months pregnant. 6 months divorced. The math was destroying him in real time. "Amara," he whispered, stepping closer, his expensive Italian leather shoes clicking ominously on the tile floor. "You are 7 months. Don't come near me," Amara warned, her hands protectively covering her unborn son. "You left," he said, his voice rising, cracking with a fury that made the receptionist look down in fear. "You signed the papers. You walked out of the penthouse. You disappeared into the city. And you were carrying my heir the entire time." "I am carrying my son," Amara corrected, her voice shaking but her chin held high. "The son your mother would have called a stain. The son you didn't fight for." Minho's jaw tightened so hard a muscle feathered in his cheek. The dangerous aura around him flared up, the kind of energy that made grown men cross the street to avoid him. "Did you think you could hide him? From me?" "I wasn't hiding, Minho. I was just living. Something I couldn't do when I was your wife." He slammed his hand against the wall next to her head, boxing her in. The scent of him, rain, cedarwood, and cold danger, filled her nose, making her heart ache and race at the same time. "He is a park," Minho growled, leaning down until his lips were inches from her ear. "And no one keeps what belongs to me away from me. Not even you." Amara looked into the eyes of the man she had loved more than life itself. The man who had broken her heart into a million pieces, and realized they were standing on the edge of a cliff. One wrong word, and he would burn the world down to get what he wanted. "Welcome back, family. Have you ever run into an ex at the worst possible moment? Not just any ex, but the one who chose his family's empire over your love? Now imagine you are 7 months pregnant with his child, and he had zero idea until this very second. This story is going to wreck you in the best way possible. It is about betrayal, secrets, and a love that refuses to die even when it hurts. Before we dive into the chaos, drop a comment telling me where you are watching from. And tell me, if a man let his family treat you like dirt, would you ever let him back in, even for the baby? Let me know in the comments. Let's go back to where it all began. 6 months ago, the sky over Seoul was crying. It was a heavy gray rain that soaked through your clothes and chilled you to the bone. Amara stood in the center of the living room in the penthouse she shared with Minho. It was a beautiful room, filled with modern art and white marble. But that day, it felt like a prison cell. On the glass coffee table sat a thick envelope and a stack of papers. Minho stood by the window, his back to her. He was wearing a black suit, his shoulders stiff. He looked like a statue, perfect and unmoving. "Take it," Minho said. His voice was flat, empty of any emotion. "I don't want your money, Minho," Amara said softly. "It is $5 million, he said, still not turning around. "My mother says it is a settlement. A clean break. You can go back to America. You can start a business. You can do whatever you want." "Your mother," Amara repeated, the bitterness coating her tongue. "Does your mother know that I learned to cook spicy stew just for you? Does she know I stayed up every night waiting for you to come home safe from your business meetings? No. She only knows that I am black, that I am a foreigner, and that I am not good enough for the Park dynasty." Minho turned around then. His face was a mask. That was the thing about Minho. He had been raised to show nothing. No pain, no joy, no weakness. But Amara knew him. She saw the tiny tightness around his eyes. She saw his hand clenching into a fist at his side. "It is for the best," he said. "You are not safe in this world, Amara. The threats are getting worse. My rivals, they see you as a weakness. And my mother, she will never stop. She will make your life a living hell every single day. So fight for me," Amara pleaded, tears finally spilling over. "Don't protect me by sending me away. Protect me by standing beside me. Tell your mother to go to hell. Tell your rivals that if they touch me, you will end them." "I cannot," he said. The words were a death sentence. The family comes first. It always has. It is the only way to survive. Amara looked at him for a long, agonizing minute. She was waiting for him to crack. Waiting for him to run across the room, grab her, and tell her that he couldn't live without her. She waited for the man she married, the man who once danced with her in the rain on Namsan Mountain, to come back. But he didn't move. He chose the empire. He chose duty. He chose fear. Amara walked over to the table. She picked up the pen. Her hand was shaking, but she forced it to be steady. She signed the divorce papers with a quick, sharp scratch. Then, she picked up the thick envelope of money. Minho watched her, waiting for her to put it in her purse. Instead, Amara ripped the envelope open. She dumped the stacks of cash onto the expensive rug. Then, she threw the empty envelope at his chest. "I came into this marriage with nothing but my heart," she said, her voice trembling with rage. "And I will leave with nothing but my dignity. Keep your blood money, Minho. You're going to need it to buy yourself a new soul." She turned and walked out the door, the elevator dinging softly as it took her down, away from the luxury, away from the danger, and away from the only man she had ever loved. She didn't know then that inside her body, a tiny heart had just started to beat. The first month was a blur of tears and cheap motel rooms. Amara moved to a small, quiet neighborhood near the university district. It was far away from the glitzy Gangnam area where Minho lived. Here, people walked fast and didn't look at each other. It was perfect. She found a job at a small, dusty library that smelled like old paper and vanilla. It didn't pay much, certainly not enough for designer clothes or fancy dinners, but it was peaceful. She wore loose sweaters and comfortable shoes. She stopped straightening her hair and let her natural curls bounce free. She was trying to heal. She was trying to forget the way Minho smelled, the way his rough hands felt against her skin, the way he used to whisper Sarangi, "I love you," when he thought she was asleep. Then came the sickness. At first, she thought it was stress. She was tired all the time. The smell of kimchi, which she used to love, made her run to the bathroom. Then she missed her period. Amara sat on the floor of her tiny bathroom, holding the plastic stick. 2 pink lines. Pregnant. The world stopped spinning. She was alone in a foreign country, divorced, with no family nearby. And she was carrying the child of the most powerful Mafia heir in the city. Panic clawed at her throat. If Minho's mother found out, Mrs. Park had called Amara a genetic mistake. What would she do to a mixed-race grandchild? Would she try to take the baby? Would she try to make sure the baby was never born? "No," Amara whispered, her hands flying to her flat stomach. "No one touches him. No one." She made a decision that night. Minho had given up his rights to be a father when he signed those papers. He chose his family. Now she had to choose hers. And her family was this baby. She would raise him alone. She would love him enough for 2 parents. She would never let the darkness of the Park family touch her innocent child. Life became a routine of hiding in plain sight. Amara went to work. She came home. She ate healthy food for the baby. She avoided the news because Minho's face was often on the business pages or the gossip columns. "Heir to Park Holdings expands territory," the headlines would say. Or "Eligible bachelor Minho Park seen at gala alone." She ignored it all. Until today. 7 months had passed. Her belly was big and round now, a beautiful curve that she loved to rub while she read stories aloud to her son. Her back ached, and her feet were swollen, but she was happy. She had found a new doctor, Dr. Lee, a kind woman with a warm smile who didn't ask too many questions about where the father was. The clinic was usually quiet. It was a private place, tucked away in a medical building. Amara had just finished her checkup. "Everything looks perfect, Amara," Dr. Lee had said, showing her the ultrasound screen. "He is a strong boy. Look at those legs. He might be a soccer player." Amara had laughed, wiping a tear from her eye. "Or a dancer," she said. "You should head home and rest," the doctor said. "Your blood pressure is a little high today. No stress, okay?" "No stress," Amara promised. She walked out of the examination room, humming a soft tune, looking down at her purse to find her subway pass. She felt safe. She felt hidden. She didn't see the man standing at the reception desk. He was arguing quietly with the nurse. He was wearing a charcoal gray suit that fit his broad shoulders perfectly. His black hair was styled back, revealing a sharp, handsome face that looked tired, as if he hadn't slept in months. "I don't care about the appointment schedule," the man was saying, his voice low and rough. "My man has a laceration on his arm. He needs stitches privately. Now, The receptionist looked terrified. Sir, please, we are an OBGYN clinic. We don't usually treat. Do I look like I care what you usually do? Amara froze. That voice. It vibrated through her bones like a church bell. It was the voice that had haunted her dreams for half a year. She slowly looked up. At that exact moment, Min-ho turned his head. Time didn't just stop, it shattered. The noise of the clinic faded away. The receptionist, the nurses, the other patients, they all blurred into the background. There was only him. And there was only her. His eyes locked onto her face. Disbelief washed over him first. He blinked, as if he thought he was hallucinating from lack of sleep. He took a small step forward, his lips parting to say her name. Amara? Then his gaze traveled down. He saw the loose yellow maternity dress. He saw the way the fabric stretched tight over her midsection. He saw the undeniable, heavy curve of a baby that was nearly ready to be born. Amara saw the color drain from his face. He looked like he had been punched in the gut by a heavyweight boxer. He swayed slightly on his feet. His eyes darted up to hers, wide and wild. His brain was working fast, doing the terrible arithmetic. 7 months pregnant. 6 months divorced. Min-ho, Amara breathed, taking a step back. That was when the predator in him woke up. The shock vanished, replaced by an intense, terrifying focus. He ignored his injured bodyguard. He ignored the receptionist. He walked toward her, and it felt like a tiger stalking a deer. Is he mine? The question hung in the air, heavy and dangerous. Amara tried to find her voice, tried to be brave. You don't get to ask that. I am asking, Min-ho said, his voice dropping an octave, vibrating with suppressed emotion. Did you leave me, with my child inside you? I left because you threw me away. Amara cried out, not caring who heard. I left because you let your mother call me a stain. You don't get to claim him now just because your DNA is involved. Being a father is about showing up, Min-ho. And you? You didn't just not show up. You sent me away with an envelope of cash, like I was a prostitute you were done with. The pain in his eyes was raw, naked. I thought I was saving you. Well, you didn't, she snapped. I saved myself. She turned to run. It was a foolish idea. She was heavily pregnant, and he was a man who ran the city's underworld. But her instinct screamed flee. She made it 2 steps toward the exit before a large, warm hand clamped around her wrist. It wasn't painful, but it was unbreakable. Let go, Amara yelled. No, Min-ho said. He pulled her gently but firmly back toward him until they were chest to belly. He looked down at her, his eyes blazing with a fire that scared her and thrilled her all at once. You are not going back to that small apartment in Itaewon, he said. Amara gasped. How do you know where I live? Min-ho's expression was dark. I am the head of the Park family now, Amara. Did you really think I didn't know where you were? I have had men watching your building for 6 months. Making sure you were safe. Making sure no one touched you. Amara felt cold all over. You stalked me? I protected you, he roared, losing control for a split second. From the shadows. Because I promised myself I wouldn't interfere. I promised I would let you be happy without me. His hand moved from her wrist to cup her cheek, his thumb brushing away a tear she didn't know had fallen. His touch was electric, familiar, and devastating. But I didn't know, he whispered, his voice breaking. I didn't know you were carrying a life. Our life. He looked deep into her eyes, and the air around them seemed to crackle with electricity. This changes everything, Amara. The divorce papers? They're just paper. You are carrying the heir to the Park Empire. And my mother. He paused, and a look of pure, terrifying ruthlessness crossed his face. A look she had never seen directed at his family before. If she finds out, she will try to take him, Min-ho said, his voice deadly calm. But she won't get the chance. Because you are coming with me. Right now. I'm not going anywhere with you. Amara protested, trying to pull away. You don't have a choice, Min-ho said. He leaned in close, his lips brushing her ear. Because right now, my mother's spies are in the parking lot. If you walk out that door alone, she will know about the baby in 10 minutes. And by tonight, she will have a legal team and a hit team at your door. Amara stopped struggling. The blood froze in her veins. Come with me, Min-ho said, holding out his hand. Let me be the monster that protects you, instead of the coward who let you go. Amara looked at his hand. Then she looked at the door. She knew he was telling the truth. The Park family played dirty. If his mother knew, Amara wouldn't stand a chance alone. She looked up at her ex-husband, the man who broke her, the man who was now offering to burn the world down for her. She took a breath. If you let her hurt my son, Amara hissed, I will kill you myself. Minho's lips curled into a dark, grim smile. If she tries to hurt our son, Amara, there won't be enough left of her to bury. He laced his fingers through hers, pulling her to his side. Now walk with me. And don't look back. As they walked toward the exit, Minho pulled out his phone with his free hand. He dialed a number and put it to his ear. It's me, he said, his voice cold as ice. Prepare the penthouse. Prepare the nursery. And tell the security team to go to DEFCON 1. Anyone who approaches my wife or my unborn child dies. No exceptions. He hung up, the metal door of the clinic sliding open to reveal the gray, rainy world outside. But this time, Amara wasn't walking into the rain alone. She was walking into the storm holding the hand of the lightning itself. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to support our growth. The sound of the lock. Click. The sound of the heavy car door locking was the loudest thing Amara had ever heard. It wasn't just a lock. It sounded like a prison gate slamming shut. Outside, the gray Seoul rain was pouring down, blurring the windows of the massive black SUV. Inside, the air smelled like expensive leather and Minho. It was a scent that used to mean safety to her. Now it smelled like danger. Amara sat pressed against the door, as far away from him as possible. Her heart was hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. What have I done? She thought. I just got into a car with the man who destroyed me. Minho sat on the other side of the leather seat. He wasn't looking at her. He was looking at his phone, typing furiously. His hand, the hand that used to rub her feet after a long day, was now gripping the phone so hard his knuckles were white. Where are we going, really? Amara asked, her voice trembling but sharp. You said the penthouse. But you sold the penthouse, didn't you? That's what the papers said. Minho stopped typing. He slowly turned his head to look at her. His eyes were dark pools of exhaustion and intensity. I didn't sell it, he said quietly. I couldn't. Why? Because your smell was still there. The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Amara looked away, her face heating up. Don't do that. Don't pretend you care about my smell when you kick me out like trash. I never said I didn't care, Amara, Minho said, his voice rough. I said I couldn't keep you. There is a difference. To me, it felt exactly the same. The car swerved slightly as they merged onto the highway, surrounded by 3 other black SUVs. A convoy. A presidential motorcade for a pregnant librarian. Driver. Minho barked at the front partition. How long? 10 minutes, sir. Traffic is clearing. Minho nodded and turned back to Amara. He looked at her belly again, his gaze softening, losing its edge. He looked like a man seeing a miracle and a ghost at the same time. Does he kick? Minho asked. The question was so soft, so unlike the Mafia boss he was supposed to be. Amara crossed her arms over her stomach. All the time. He hates the rain. And he hates loud noises. So please stop shouting at your men. Minho's lips twitched. A ghost of a smile. He has your temper, then. He has my spirit, Amara corrected. He knows who is safe and who isn't. And I am not safe? You are the most dangerous thing in his life, Minho. Minho flinched. He looked out the window, watching the city pass by. You are right, he whispered. I am dangerous. But out there. He pointed to the rain-soaked streets. Out there are wolves who want to tear my throat out. And they will use you and the baby to get to me. I am a dangerous shield, Amara. But I am still a shield. The return. The car pulled into the private underground entrance of the Sky Tower. It was a place Amara swore she would never see again. The security guards bowed low as the car stopped. They didn't look at Amara. They knew better than to look at the boss's woman. Minho got out first. He didn't wait for the driver. He opened Amara's door and offered his hand. I can walk, Amara said, ignoring his hand and struggling to hoist her pregnant body out of the low seat. I know you can, Minho said, grabbing her elbow anyway to steady her. But you don't have to. They rode the private elevator in silence. As the numbers ticked up, 10, 20, 30, 50, Amara felt the nausea rising. This was the elevator where she had cried on the floor 6 months ago. This was the elevator that took her away from her marriage. Ding. The doors opened directly into the penthouse. Amara stepped out and gasped. She expected it to be different. She expected Minho to have changed the furniture, painted the walls, removed every trace of her. She expected it to look like a bachelor pad, cold and sterile. It was exactly the same. Her half-read book was still on the side table, gathering dust. The throw blanket she had knitted, a messy, lumpy thing, was still draped over the couch. Her favorite mug, the one with the chip in the rim, was sitting on the kitchen counter. It was like a museum of their marriage. Frozen in time. You didn't change anything, Amara whispered, walking into the room like she was walking into a dream. I couldn't touch it, Minho admitted, standing by the door, looking like a stranger in his own home. Every time the maids tried to move your things, I fired them. This is crazy, Minho. This is obsessive. It is grief, Amara, he said simply. I was mourning you. I wasn't dead, she spun around to face him. I was 20 minutes away, living in a shoebox apartment, eating instant noodles because I was too proud to use your money. You weren't mourning me. You were mourning the idea of me. I checked on you, Minho said, walking toward the kitchen. He opened the massive stainless steel fridge. It was fully stocked. I knew you were eating properly. I had my men deliver groceries to your local store and mark them down 90%, so you would buy them. Do you really think strawberries cost $1 in Seoul in the middle of winter? Amara's mouth fell open. The sale. The manager said it was a surplus. I bought the surplus. I bought the whole shipment. Minho pulled out a bottle of water and a glass. I watched you, Amara. I knew you were safe. I didn't know about the baby. I swear. He poured the water and handed it to her. His hand brushed hers, and a spark of heat shot up her arm. She hated it. She hated that her body still recognized him as home, even though her brain knew he was the fire. Drink, he ordered softly. You look pale. Amara took the glass because her throat was dry as sandpaper. She took a sip, watching him. So what now? You lock me in here? I wait for the baby to come. And then what? You take him? Minho's face hardened. I told you. I am not my mother. I don't take children from their mothers. Then let me go. No. Minho. We are safer here, he shouted, his voice echoing off the high ceilings. Do you understand? My mother has spies everywhere. The clinic receptionist? She was probably on the payroll. The driver of the taxi you took last week? Probably one of hers. She knows everything. If you are out there alone, she will come for you. She will try to pay you off, or worse, she will try to stress you out until... He couldn't finish the sentence. He looked at her belly, terror in his eyes. Until you lose him. Amara wrapped her arms around her stomach instinctively. She wouldn't. You don't know her like I do. To her, a mixed-blood heir is a problem to be solved. But here, in this tower, this is my fortress. No one gets in unless I say so. Not her. Not her lawyers. Not her assassins. The intruder. Suddenly, a loud buzzing sound filled the apartment. It was the intercom system at the main gate downstairs. Amara jumped, spilling water on her dress. Minho's face went deadly cold. He walked over to the wall monitor and pressed the button. Report, he barked. Sir, the head of security's voice crackled through the speaker. He sounded nervous. We have a situation at the gate. I gave orders. No visitors. I know, sir. But, it's not a visitor. It's a delivery. Send it away. We can't, sir. The courier, he says he has a message from grandmother. And he says if we don't deliver it to the penthouse immediately, the media vans parked down the street will get a very interesting story about your ex-wife. Amara felt the blood drain from her face. Grandmother. Minho's mother knew. She knew already. It hadn't even been an hour. Minho looked at Amara. The fear in his eyes was gone, replaced by a cold, calculating rage. Bring it up, Minho said. Check it for explosives. Then bring it up. He cut the feed. She knows, Amara whispered. She knows about the baby. She knows you are here, Minho corrected. She is testing me. She wants to see if I will fold. He walked over to a drawer in the kitchen island and pulled out a gun. A sleek black pistol. Amara stepped back. Minho, what are you doing? I am making sure you are safe, he said, tucking the gun into the back of his waistband, hidden by his suit jacket. Go to the bedroom, Amara. Lock the door. I'm not leaving you down here. Go, he commanded. It was the voice of the boss. The voice that commanded armies. Amara hesitated, then turned and waddled as fast as she could toward the master bedroom. She closed the door, but she didn't lock it. She cracked it open just a sliver. She had to hear. Minutes later, the elevator dinged. Amara peeked through the crack. Two of Minho's guards walked in, carrying a small, elegant white box tied with a blood-red ribbon. They placed it on the coffee table and stepped back. Minho approached the box like it was a bomb. He used a knife to cut the ribbon. He lifted the lid. Amara held her breath. Minho stared into the box. His shoulders stiffened. A low, animalistic growl started deep in his chest. What is it? Amara couldn't help herself. She stepped out of the bedroom. Stay back, Minho yelled. But she was already there. She looked over his shoulder into the box. Inside, resting on black velvet, was a tiny pair of baby shoes. They were traditional Korean shoes, beautiful and delicate. But one of them was burnt. Charred black, smelling of smoke and ash. And nestled between the shoes was a note, handwritten in elegant script. A dynasty is built on purity. Do not bring ash into my house, Minho. Fix your mistake, or I will fix it for you. Amara felt the room spin. It was a death threat. Not for her. For the baby. Fix your mistake. She felt a sharp, stabbing pain in her lower abdomen. It wasn't just fear. It was physical. A cramp so hard it doubled her over. Ah! Amara gasped, clutching her belly. Minho dropped the box. He was at her side in a second, catching her before she hit the floor. Amara? Amara! His face was pale with panic. Is it the baby? It hurts, she groaned, tears squeezing out of her eyes. Minho, it hurts like something is wrong. Minho scooped her up into his arms as if she weighed nothing. He looked at his guards, his eyes burning with a demon's fire. Get the doctor, he roared. And tell the security team, if my mother's car comes within 1 mile of this building, burn it to the ground. He kicked the door to the bedroom open, carrying Amara and their unborn son into the safety of the room, while the burnt shoe lay on the table, a promise of a war that had just begun. Can Minho protect them from his own blood? Or has the stress already done too much damage to the baby? Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to support our growth. The king on his knees. The red alert. The pain was a color. It was a blinding, screaming red that washed over Amara's vision, drowning out the gray rain against the windows and the sleek luxury of the penthouse. She was vaguely aware of being lowered onto the massive bed. The bed she used to share with Minho, the bed where they had whispered secrets in the dark. Now it felt like a hospital gurney. Stay with me, Amara. Breathe. Minho's voice was right next to her ear. It wasn't the voice of the cold, detached CEO. It wasn't the growl of the Mafia boss. It was the terrified voice of a man watching his entire world crumble. It hurts, Amara gasped, her fingers digging into the silk sheets so hard she heard the fabric tear. Minho, something is wrong. It's too early. He's not ready. He stays in, Minho commanded, as if he could order biology to obey him like one of his lieutenants. He grabbed her hand, his grip tight enough to bruise, grounding her. Do you hear me, little one? You stay in there. You fight. The bedroom door burst open. Not gently. It slammed against the wall. A team of 4 people in white coats rushed in, pushing a mobile medical cart. They didn't look like normal paramedics. They moved with military precision. This was Minho's private medical team, the ones who stitched up bullet wounds in the middle of the night without asking questions. Clear the area, the lead doctor barked. He was an older man with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much death. Dr. Choi. Amara remembered him. He had treated Minho's father after an assassination attempt years ago. Fix her, Minho snarled, standing up but refusing to let go of Amara's hand. If anything happens to them, Choi, you will not leave this room alive. Dr. Choi didn't even blink. He was used to the Park family threats. Get out of my way, Minho. Your testosterone is filling the room and stressing the patient. If you want to help her, shut up and hold her hand. For the first time in his life, Minho obeyed. He dropped to his knees beside the bed, bringing his face level with Amara's. The next hour was a blur of beeping machines, cold gel on her stomach, and the sharp pinch of needles. Amara squeezed Minho's hand until her knuckles turned white. Every time a wave of pain hit her, she looked at him. And every time he was looking right back, his dark eyes wide and unblinking, pouring every ounce of his strength into her. The heart rate is dropping, a nurse announced, her voice tight. Stabilize it, Dr. Choi ordered. Give her the magnesium. Now! Amara, Minho whispered, pressing his forehead against their joined hands. Don't leave me. Not again. I can't do this alone. I can't raise him without you. I'm scared, she wept, the fear finally breaking through her anger. I know. I'm here. I'm right here. Look at me. He used his free hand to cup her face, forcing her to look away from the frantic doctors. Remember Namsan Tower? Remember the lock we put on the fence? We lost the key, Amara stuttered through a contraction. We threw it away, Minho corrected, his thumb stroking her cheekbone. Because we said there was no way out. We were locked together forever. I still believe that, Amara. This isn't the end. It's just a storm. And we're good at storms. Suddenly, the rapid beeping of the monitor slowed down. It settled into a steady, rhythmic thump 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 thump. The room let out a collective breath. The contraction has stopped, Dr. Choi announced, wiping sweat from his brow. The baby's heart rate is normalizing. Amara's body went limp against the mattress. The pain receded, leaving her exhausted and trembling. "Is he okay?" she whispered. Dr. Choi turned the monitor screen so she could see. There, in grainy black and white, was the small, curling shape of her son. His heart was beating like a tiny drum. "He is stubborn," Dr. Choi said with a small smile. "Like his father. But Amara, this was a warning shot. Your blood pressure spiked to dangerous levels. The stress of the last few hours, it almost triggered a placental abruption. If that happens, we lose the baby, and we might lose you." Minho let out a sound that was half sob, half growl. He buried his face in Amara's palm, kissing the center of her hand. "What do we do?" Minho asked into her skin. "Bed rest," Dr. Choi said sternly. "Absolute, total bed rest. She does not leave this room. She does not get up to cook, to clean, or to argue with you. She stays horizontal until that baby is ready to come out. Do you understand?" "She won't move," Minho promised, lifting his head. His eyes were red-rimmed but fierce. "I will chain her to the bed if I have to." "Try it," Amara mumbled weakly, "and I'll bite you." Minho laughed. It was a broken, watery sound, but it was a laugh. "There she is. My fighter." The silent dinner. The doctors left, leaving only a nurse stationed outside the door. The room was quiet, lit only by the soft glow of the city lights coming through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Minho hadn't moved. He was still sitting on the floor beside the bed, watching her chest rise and fall. He had taken off his suit jacket and rolled up his sleeves, revealing the expensive watch on his wrist and the faint scar on his forearm. "You should eat," Amara said softly. Her voice was raspy. "I'm not hungry." "Minho, you look like a ghost. If you pass out, who is going to protect us?" He looked at her then, really looked at her. "I failed today. I brought you here to keep you safe, and within 1 hour, my mother almost killed you with a shoebox. It wasn't your fault. It is always my fault." He stood up and paced the room, running his hands through his perfect hair, messing it up. "I am the head of the family. I should have anticipated it. I should have intercepted the courier." He stopped at the window, looking down at the rainy streets of Seoul. "Do you know why she sent burnt shoes?" Amara shook her head against the pillow. "To scare me. It is an old superstition," Minho said, his voice cold. "In the old days, if a child was born wrong, or if a family wanted to reject a lineage, they would burn the baby's first clothes. It means you do not exist. It means return to the ashes." Amara felt a chill go down her spine. "She hates me that much?" "She hates that she cannot control me," Minho said. "And she hates that you made me human. Before you, I was a machine. I did what I was told. I made money. I broke legs. Then I met you, and I started wanting things. I started wanting to come home early. I started wanting to leave the business." He turned back to her. "That is why I divorced you, Amara. Not because you weren't good enough, but because I was planning to leave the family entirely. And I knew if I tried to leave while we were married, she would use you as leverage. I wanted you far away, safe in America, while I burned my family's empire to the ground." Amara stared at him. The puzzle pieces were clicking into place. "You were going to leave?" "I am still going to leave," he said violently. "But I miscalculated. I thought you would go to New York. I thought you would be safe. I didn't know you would stay in Seoul. And I didn't know about him." He pointed to her belly. "So what happens now?" "Now." Minho walked back to the bed and sat on the edge. "Now we go to war. But first you eat." He pulled his phone out. "What do you want? And don't say salad. You need calories." Amara thought about it. Her stomach rumbled. "I want tteokbokki." Minho frowned. "Spicy rice cakes? It will give you heartburn." "I don't care. I want the really spicy kind. From the old lady with the cart on the corner of 4th Street. The one who yells at everyone." Minho stared at her. "Amara, that is street food. It is not hygienic. I have a Michelin star chef downstairs who can make you a risotto that will make you cry." "I want the street cart tteokbokki," Amara insisted, crossing her arms. "And I want grape soda." Minho stared at her for a long 3 seconds. Then he sighed, a long, defeated sigh of a man who ruled a criminal empire, but could not say no to his pregnant ex-wife. He pressed a button on his phone. Chief of Security? Yes. Send a tactical team to 4th Street. Locate the elderly woman with the rice cake cart. Buy everything she has. Bring it here. Hot. If it gets cold, don't bother coming back. He hung up. Amara giggled. She couldn't help it. You just sent a tactical team for snacks. I would send an army for a pickle if you asked for it, Minho said, his face deadly serious. The midnight confession. An hour later, they were eating spicy rice cakes out of styrofoam cups in the most expensive bedroom in Seoul. Minho was sitting on the bed with her, careful not to get red sauce on the silk duvet. It felt normal. For the first time in 6 months, the wall between them crumbled. I missed this, Minho admitted quietly, wiping a smudge of sauce from the corner of her mouth with his thumb. He lingered there, his touch warm. Me too, Amara whispered. She leaned into his touch, her eyes closing. I hated you, you know. I tried so hard to hate you. I know. I deserved it. But every time I felt the baby kick, I wondered if you would have your nose. Or your grumpy eyebrows. Minho chuckled. My eyebrows are distinguished, not grumpy. He put the food aside and shifted closer. Amara, the papers. The divorce. What about them? I never filed them. Amara's eyes flew open. What? Minho reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn leather wallet. From inside, he pulled out a ring. Her ring. The simple gold band she had left on the table that rainy day. I signed the papers in front of my mother to make her stop threatening you, Minho explained. But I never sent them to the court. I kept them in my safe. Legally, we are still married. Amara couldn't breathe. You lied to me? For 6 months. I lied to save you. If you thought we were divorced, you would leave. You would be free. He looked at the ring in his palm. But now I am glad I lied. Because you are still my wife. And this baby is legitimate. My mother cannot call him a bastard. He is the legal heir to everything. I don't want him to be the heir to a crime syndicate, Minho. He won't be, Minho vowed. He will be the heir to the clean money. The real estate. The tech investments. I am cleaning it all up, Amara. Slowly. But now, I have to speed it up. He took her hand and slid the ring back onto her finger. It was a tight fit now because her fingers were swollen from the pregnancy. It doesn't fit, Amara said, tears welling up again. Then wear it on a chain around your neck. Near your heart. Where I belong. Minho leaned in. His face was inches from hers. His breath smelled of spicy sauce and mint. Amara's heart hammered a frantic rhythm against her ribs. She wanted to kiss him. She wanted to slap him. She wanted to never let him go. But before their lips could touch, the lights went out. The blackout. It wasn't just the bedroom lights. The city glow from outside the window vanished. The hum of the air conditioning died. The little green light on the smoke detector faded. Total, absolute darkness swallowed the penthouse. Minho. Amara's voice trembled. Stay down. Minho's voice was instantly different. The husband was gone. The killer was back. She heard the slide of a gun being cocked. Is it a power outage? Amara whispered. No, Minho said, moving toward the door. This building has 3 backup generators. They should have kicked in within 2 seconds. Someone disabled them manually. Who? There is only one person with the access codes to override my security, Minho said, his voice dripping with venom. My brother. The digital lock on the bedroom door clicked. It wasn't the sound of it locking. It was the sound of it unlocking. The electronic smart home system, usually a polite female voice, crackled to life. But the voice was distorted, deep and slow. System override. Welcome, guest. Get in the closet, Minho hissed at Amara. The panic room is in the back. Go. Now. I can't see. Minho was at her side in an instant. He grabbed her arm and guided her through the pitch blackness, navigating the room by memory. He pushed her into the walk-in closet and fumbled for a hidden panel behind the rows of suits. Beep. The panel opened. Get inside, Minho ordered. Lock it from the inside. Do not open it unless you hear my voice say the word strawberry. Understand? Minho, don't go out there. Amara grabbed his shirt. If the lights are out, they have night vision. You'll be blind. I don't need eyes to kill rats in my own house, he said. He kissed her forehead, a hard, desperate press of lips. Protect our son. He shoved her gently into the darkness of the panic room, and the door slid shut, sealing with a heavy, magnetic thud. Amara was alone in the silence. But it wasn't silent for long. Through the reinforced steel door, she heard the sound of the penthouse front door being blown off its hinges. Boom. The floor shook. Amara curled into a ball in the corner of the small, safe room, holding her belly. "Min-ho!" she screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the thick walls. Outside, in the main living room, Min-ho stood in the dark. He didn't turn on a flashlight. He didn't move. He slowed his breathing until he was a ghost. Across the room, heavy boots crunched on the broken glass of the front door. "Come out, little brother," a voice called out. It was a voice Amara would have recognized. It was Jae-sung, Min-ho's older brother. The one who was jealous that Min-ho had been chosen as the heir. The one who was loyal to their mother. "Mother wants a word," Jae-sung laughed, the sound echoing in the dark. "And she wants the girl." Min-ho gripped his gun tighter. He counted the footsteps. 3 men. Maybe 4. He smiled in the darkness. They thought the darkness was their ally. They forgot that Min-ho had lost his light 6 months ago. He had been living in the dark ever since. "You made a mistake, young older brother." Min-ho's voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "Yeah, what's that?" Jae-sung taunted, shining a tactical flashlight beam around the room. "You stepped into the cage with the tiger," Min-ho whispered from directly behind him. Bang! The flash of the muzzle flare lit up the room for a split second, revealing Min-ho's face. It was a mask of pure, unadulterated fury. But as the body of the first intruder hit the floor, Amara's phone, which she still had in her pocket inside the panic room, buzzed. It was a text message from an unknown number. She looked at the screen, the blue light illuminating her terrified face. It was a picture. It was a live video feed of the panic room she was currently sitting in. The text underneath read, "The panic room was built by the family, my dear. We have the override code for that, too. Open the door or we fill the room with gas." Amara looked up at the vent in the ceiling. A soft hissing sound started. She had a choice. Open the door and face the men who wanted to kill her baby. Or stay inside and suffocate. She scrambled to the keypad on the door. Her hands were shaking so badly she couldn't hit the buttons. Min-ho was outside fighting a war. But the enemy was already in the room with her. How will Min-ho save her when he is outnumbered in the dark? And will Amara open the door to save herself or risk the gas? The finale is coming, and you won't believe who survives. Subscribe now. The Serpent in the Box. Hiss. The sound was soft, like a snake sliding through dry grass. But in the tiny, sealed panic room, it sounded like a scream. Amara coughed. The air was already changing. It tasted metallic like old pennies. She looked at her phone screen. The text message from the unknown number was still there, mocking her. Open the door or suffocate. She looked at the keypad. If she opened the door, the men outside would take her baby. If she kept it closed, the gas would put her to sleep, and she might never wake up. "Think, Amara, think," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. She pulled her shirt up over her nose and mouth. It wouldn't stop the gas, but it helped the panic. She grabbed the heavy flashlight stored on the emergency shelf. She didn't type the code. Instead, she started banging on the reinforced steel door. Bang, bang, bang. She needed Min-ho to hear her. She needed him to know the safe room wasn't safe anymore. "Min-ho!" she screamed, her voice muffled by the shirt. "The gas! It's gas!" The shadow wore. Outside in the living room, the darkness was alive with violence. Min-ho moved like a ghost. He knew every inch of this room. He knew exactly where the sofa was, where the marble statue stood, where the floor creaked. His brother, Jae-sung, did not. Jae-sung's men were firing blindly, their muzzle flashes lighting up the room like strobe lights in a nightmare. Pop, pop, pop. Bullets shattered the expensive vases and tore into the drywall. Min-ho didn't fire back. He didn't want to give away his position. He waited until one of the men reloaded. Then he struck. He moved in close, grabbing the man's arm, twisting it until the bone snapped with a sickening crunch. The man screamed, dropping his weapon. Min-ho used the momentum to slam the man's head into the wall. One down. Then he heard it. Bang, bang, bang. A dull, rhythmic thumping coming from the closet. Min-ho's heart stopped. The panic room was soundproof. If he could hear banging, it meant Amara was hitting that door with everything she had. Hear that? Jae-sung's voice taunted from across the room. He was hiding behind the kitchen island. That's the sound of a canary running out of air. Mother bought a very expensive gas system for that room, Min-ho. Colorless. Odorless. Deadly. Min-ho felt a cold rage wash over him. It wasn't the hot anger of before. This was ice. This was the end of the world. You are killing a pregnant woman, Hyung? Minho asked, his voice echoing from the shadows. Is that what the Park family honor is now? She is a stain, Jae-sung yelled. She ruined you. You were supposed to be the king. Instead, you became a house cat playing with a ball of yarn. Minho looked at the digital glowing numbers on the microwave clock. He had maybe 2 minutes before Amara passed out. He couldn't sneak anymore. He had to be the monster they feared. Minho stepped out into the open. I am not a house cat, Minho said, raising his gun. I am the tiger that eats the rest. He fired. Not at Jae-sung. He fired at the ceiling. Specifically, at the fire suppression system sprinkler head directly above the kitchen. Shatter. The sprinkler head broke. Instantly, gallons of pressurized water exploded downward. But it wasn't just water. The system triggered the emergency fire alarm strobe lights. Flash. 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 The room was bathed in blinding, pulsing white light. Jae-sung screamed, blinded by the sudden flashing. He covered his eyes. That was all the time Minho needed. He sprinted across the room, sliding over the wet floor like a baseball player stealing home. He tackled his brother. They crashed into the kitchen cabinets. Minho didn't punch him. He grabbed Jae-sung's throat. The code, Minho roared, squeezing. Give me the override code for the gas. Jae-sung gagged, his face turning purple. He clawed at Minho's eyes, but Minho didn't feel it. Go to hell. I'm already there, Minho snarled. And I'm leaving you here. He saw a tablet computer stuck in Jae-sung's belt. The control panel. Minho ripped it out. He smashed Jae-sung's head against the floor to knock him out, then scrambled to his feet. He ran to the closet. His hands were wet with blood and water. He looked at the tablet. It asked for a password. Mother. Of course. Minho typed PURITEY. Access granted. He hit ventilate. The first breath. The hissing sound in the panic room stopped. Then, a loud whoosh sound started as the fans kicked into reverse, sucking the poison out. Minho punched the keypad on the door. Strawberry. The heavy steel door slid open. Amara was slumped on the floor. Her eyes were closed. The flashlight had rolled out of her hand. Amara. Minho dropped the gun. He dropped the tablet. He fell to his knees and pulled her out of the box, dragging her into the fresh air of the bedroom. Wake up, he begged, shaking her shoulders. Please, baby, wake up. Don't do this. He put his ear to her chest. A heartbeat. Fast, erratic, but there. Amara, she gasped. It was a terrible, hacking sound, sucking in air like a drowning woman breaking the surface. She coughed, her whole body shaking. Minho, I've got you, he cried, pulling her into his chest, rocking her back and forth. I've got you. The air is clean. Breathe. Just breathe. Amara clutched his wet shirt. The baby is he. He's tough, Minho said, though he was weeping openly now. He's a fighter. Just like his mom. Sirens wailed in the distance. Real police sirens this time. Not the ones paid off by the family. Minho looked back at the kitchen where his brother lay unconscious in a pool of water. It's over, Minho whispered. The dynasty ends tonight. The phone call. 2 hours later, the penthouse was a crime scene. Police tape was everywhere. Amara was sitting on the back of an ambulance, wrapped in a shock blanket, breathing pure oxygen from a mask. The paramedics had checked the baby's heart rate. It was steady. A miracle. Minho walked over to her. He was handcuffed. Amara sat up, panic flaring in her eyes. Why are you in cuffs? They have to arrest someone, Minho said calmly. I shot 3 men. Even in self-defense, there is paperwork. But, they'll let you go, right? My lawyers are already here. I will be out in an hour. He smiled, but it was a sad smile. But first, I have to make one phone call. He looked at the police officer holding him. Dial the number for me. Put it on speaker. The officer, intimidated by Minho's aura even in cuffs, obeyed. He dialed the number Minho recited. It rang once. Is it done? A cold female voice answered. Minho's mother. Hello, mother, Minho said. Silence on the other end. Minho, she said, her voice betraying nothing. I assume you are calling to apologize for your disobedience. I am calling to say goodbye, Minho said. He looked at Amara. Jae-sung is in a coma. Your hit team is in the morgue. And I have just handed over the ledger to the police. For the first time, the mother's voice cracked. You wouldn't. That book contains every bribe, every deal, every politician we own. You will destroy yourself. I am not destroying myself, Minho said. I am destroying you. The Park Empire is dead. The stocks will crash by morning. The police are on their way to your estate right now. You ungrateful wretch. You are throwing away a kingdom. I don't want a kingdom, Minho said, his voice soft but strong as steel. I want a family. He nodded to the officer to hang up. He looked at Amara. I have nothing now. No money. No power. No empire. Just a lot of enemies and a very good lawyer. Amara stood up, letting the blanket fall. She walked over to him and placed her hands on his handcuffed wrists. You have me, she whispered. And you have a son who needs a father, not a king. Minho leaned his forehead against hers. That is more than I deserve. 6 months later. The sun was hot. It wasn't the gray, miserable rain of Seoul. It was the bright, golden sun of the southern coast. Amara sat on the wooden porch of a small house overlooking the ocean. The air smelled of salt and tangerines. It was quiet here. No sirens. No bodyguards. Inside the house, she heard a soft coo. Minho walked out onto the porch. He wasn't wearing a suit. He was wearing shorts and a white t-shirt that had a small stain of pureed carrots on the shoulder. He looked younger. Happier. In his arms, he held a chubby baby boy with dark, curious eyes and a head full of curly hair. He refuses to sleep, Minho complained, but he was smiling. He wants to watch the waves. He knows what he likes, Amara laughed, reaching out her arms. Minho handed the baby to her. Here you go, Leo. Leo. A name that meant lion. Strong. Brave. But free. Did you get the mail? Amara asked. I did. Minho sat next to her on the swing. The trial is over. My mother was sentenced to 20 years. Jae-sung. He turned witness against her to save himself. They are eating each other alive. And us. We are ghosts, Minho said, putting his arm around her. The Park family is gone. We are just us. The Kims. Amara looked down at baby Leo, who was grabbing her finger with his tiny, strong hand. She looked at Minho, the man who had lost everything to give her this moment of peace. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I like us, she said. Minho kissed the top of her head as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in colors of fire and gold. I love us, he corrected. They sat there, watching the ocean, two survivors who had walked through the fire and came out holding the only treasure that mattered. The end. Did you enjoy the story of Minho and Amara? Would you have forgiven him? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more thrilling stories like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an episode. Thanks for watching.